Okay, let's dive right in. We are talking about one of the most complex, most heated challenges facing the United States today, the immigration crisis. And as we're about to see, what's happening in 2025 isn't just about a line on a map. No, this is a major test of America's security, its values, and really, its whole identity.
Just think about that for a second. The U.S.-Mexico border has become, you could argue, the most controversial line on the entire planet. For millions, it's a beacon of hope. For an entire nation, it's a point of bitter political division. And it's creating tension that you can feel all around the world. It all comes together right here.
20 years. That's how long it's been since the U.S. has seen anything like this. This wave of illegal crossings is on a scale that's just staggering. We're talking record-breaking arrests in 2025, pushing a system that was already creaking to its absolute breaking point. This is not business as usual.
Which brings us right to our first section, the breaking point. Let's break down the 4 key things that show just how close this whole system is to shattering.
It all starts right here. A historic, unprecedented number of migrants are arriving at the southern border. The figures are just off the charts, and they're completely overwhelming every single piece of the immigration infrastructure.
And of course, that immediately leads to a humanitarian crisis. The detention centers, they're packed way beyond capacity, creating these really desperate and dangerous conditions. And this isn't just a logistics headache. It's a deeply human problem. We're even hearing reports of children being separated from their families all over again.
You know, the pressure isn't just on the infrastructure. It's splitting the country apart from the inside. We're seeing states, like Texas, launching their own border security operations, sometimes in flat-out defiance of what the federal government is ordering. It's leading to these tense, public standoffs between state troopers and federal agents.
And if that wasn't enough, you have to layer on top of all of it a massive security threat. The drug cartels are seeing the chaos, and the violence is just surging. It's making the journey deadlier than ever for migrants, and the job for law enforcement almost impossible. Smugglers and human traffickers are having a field day.
So, with that huge, chaotic picture in mind, let's zoom in. Let's talk about the people whose lives are being defined by this crisis every single day.
This quote from a migrant, wow, it just cuts right to the bone, doesn't it? For so many people, this isn't some casual choice. It is a desperate flight from unimaginable gang violence, or from climate disasters that have literally made their homes unlivable. They are running for their lives.
But then, on the other side of that very same line, you've got the Border Patrol agents. They are under just immense, crushing pressure. We're talking long, stressful hours in constant crisis mode. The rates of mental fatigue, of stress, of sheer burnout among these officers are absolutely staggering. They are the human face of a system at its breaking point.
And what about the small American towns that are caught right in the middle of all this? Their local resources, hospitals, schools, shelters, they're completely swamped. They're living under this constant, intense glare of the media, and the very fabric of these small communities is being stretched to its limit.
So, this human crisis playing out on the ground, well, it's like pouring gasoline on a political fire at the national level. Let's take a look at just how fractured this debate has become.
I mean, you can see the divide right here. It is a massive chasm. On one side, you have passionate calls for humanitarian reform, with people arguing that the current policies just violate basic human rights. On the other side, you have a doubling down on enforcement, with demands for things like mass deportations. It's like the two sides are speaking completely different languages.
And the result of this deep, deep division? Total and complete paralysis. Despite how urgent the crisis clearly is on the ground, Congress is just stuck in gridlock. They seem completely unable to pass any kind of meaningful immigration reform. The blame game is going strong, but actual solutions? Not so much. But, behind all the political shouting, there's a really surprising and, frankly, ironic economic truth at play here. Let's unpack that right now.
It makes you stop and ask a pretty tough question, right? In a system that seems so obviously broken, who's actually benefiting from it? The answer might really surprise you. So check this out. The data reveals something that a lot of people don't talk about. Millions of undocumented workers are an absolutely crucial part of the U.S. economy. Key industries like agriculture, the food you eat, construction, and logistics, they are heavily dependent on this labor force just to keep running.
And this isn't just some theory. This dependency is so real that business leaders are actually sounding the alarm. They're warning that mass deportations wouldn't just be a humanitarian issue, it could literally crash the nation's food supply chains. That is a powerful economic argument against the very enforcement that some people are demanding.
So you take all of it, the human crisis, the political gridlock, this economic irony, and it brings America to a huge crossroads. So, what are the possible paths forward?
Well, there are solutions being discussed. They range from things like modern guest worker programs and digital ID systems to high-tech security like AI surveillance and so-called smart walls. The real challenge is finding a mix that tackles both security and compassion, which, by the way, is something a majority of Americans say they actually support.
Because ultimately, what this whole crisis shows us is that the border isn't just a line on a map. It's a mirror. It's reflecting what America is right now, and maybe more importantly, what it wants to become. The choices that are made here are going to define the nation for a generation.
Which leaves all of us with the fundamental question that this crisis forces us to face. It's the question at the very heart of the entire debate, and there is no easy answer. Should America tighten its borders, or should it open its doors? The future of the country might just depend on how it answers.